welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into the top 5 mechanics every support needs to know in Overwatch 2. If you're tired of feeling like you're just healbotting or want to make a real impact in your games, these tips are going to change the way you play support. We're talking about strategies that will help you secure kills, control fights and truly carry your team. Let's get started with our first mechanic. Many support players make a common mistake, over-prioritizing healing, thinking it's their main job, but in Overwatch 2's 5v5 format, supports can have a huge impact by balancing healing with smart aggression. Let's dive into how this works and why it's essential. So what do I mean by smart aggression? It's all about knowing when to stop healing and start pressuring the enemy team. In the 5v5 format, healing alone doesn't always carry fights, and constantly focusing on it means missing out on critical damage opportunities. Smart aggression means switching from healing to attacking when allies are safe and using that momentum to put pressure on the enemy. Why is this so important then? Because your team benefits when you are applying consistent pressure. Instead of waiting for your teammates to make plays, you're helping set the tempo and forcing the enemy team to react to you. Supports like Ana and Zenyatta can actually contribute a lot of damage, sometimes even as much as a DPS. By carefully balancing healing and damage, you increase your team's kill potential and make it harder for the enemy to gain control. Here's how to apply this with Ana. Between heals, look to land shots on the enemies to keep them under pressure, and don't be afraid to throw a biotic grenade offensively, especially if it will stop multiple enemies from healing. This can shut down the enemy's recovery and help your team secure a kill. For some players, keep a Discord orb on a high priority target and use your orbs of distractions consistently. Tank can quickly whittle down tanks and make squishy enemies an easy target for your DPS. The key is to recognize moments when allies are stable and use those windows to contribute damage. This doesn't mean abandoning healing, but waving in damage whenever possible. Smart aggression will help you do more than just heal, it'll be an active threat to the enemy team. So remember, being a support isn't just about healing. Smart aggression can change fights, tilt pressure in your team's favor, and ultimately help you climb faster. Give it a try in Overwatch and watch your impact skyrocket. Let's jump into our second mechanic, ability impact. As a support, our abilities are a game changer, but you can take them to the next level by using them proactively, not just as a reaction, which many people do. Support abilities in Overwatch 2 aren't just for saving teammates in emergencies, they're tools that can shift the momentum of a fight. Think of each ability as a way to create an advantage. Instead of bailing out teammates in trouble, using these abilities proactively before your team is in a tight spot can keep your team ahead and leave the enemy scrambling to keep up. Why does this work so well? Well, by using abilities with a plan in mind, you're actively disrupting the enemy's strategies and opening up opportunities for your team to engage or escape on your terms. This is especially important in Overwatch 2 faster paced 5v5 fights, where making the first move can be the difference between winning or losing a team fight. It's all about finding those small windows to use your abilities where they make the biggest impact. Let's look at a couple examples. With Kiriko, instead of holding on to Suzu until an emergency, try using it when you know an enemy is about to hit your tank with a high burst damage. This prevents a dangerous situation before it even happens. Or if you're an Ana, don't wait to use your biotic grenade just defensively, toss it at a cluster of enemies to reduce their healing and give your team an edge. It will make it much easier for heroes like Genji to dash in and actually get a kill when they can't get healed. Lucio can do the same by using speed boost to push into a fight on offense, not just an escape on defense. So proactive ability use, it's all about reading the battlefield and acting a step ahead. Instead of just reacting, look for the moments where your abilities can set up your team for success. Mastering this can be the game changer you're looking for as a support. Now let's talk about our third mechanic, split support. Many support players stick to their tank like glue, but knowing when to split off and support other teammates can actually give your team a huge advantage. But Overwatch 2's 5v5 format means you have more freedom to play dynamically. Splitting off from your tank and positioning yourself to support other allies, like a DPS on an off angle, can give your team an advantage that's hard for the enemy to counter. You're increasing your team's map presence and putting pressure in places they may not expect. Why is this so effective? When you're split from the tank, the enemy team has much harder time focusing on a single target. You're helping maintain the team's overall health, but you're also creating opportunities by enabling teammates to push. Whether you're pocketing a DPS with Mercy or throwing Harmony Orb on a flanker's Sun, splitting up can prevent the enemy from targeting all your supports in one spot. Here's how it works in practice. If you're playing as Mercy and your tank is holding the front, consider damage boosting a DPS who's taking a high ground or pushing from an off angle. You're enabling them to pressure the enemy from another direction, giving your team a two-pronged approach. As a Zenyatta, keep Harmony Orb on a flanking ally and position yourself to have line of sight of both your DPS and the enemy team, putting pressure on the backline with Discord Orb while supporting your off-angle team. So remember, split support is all about adapting your position and supporting allies who aren't just your tank. By doing this, you're creating more pressure and keeping the enemy on their toes. It's a strategy that can really set you apart as a support player. Let's move on to our fourth mechanic, ultimate advantage. Many support players only use their ultimate defensively, but there's a huge power in using them proactively to take control of a fight before the enemy even has a chance to react. Support ultimates like Lucio's Sound Barrier, Ana's Nano Boost, and Kiriko's Kitsune Rush are some of the strongest in the game, but instead of waiting for the enemy to push, using these ultimates at the start of the fight can give your team an instant edge, allowing you to engage enemy on your terms. This keeps them on back foot and can even prevent them from using their own ultimates effectively. Why go proactive? When you pop an ultimate to start a fight, you're seizing control of the battlefield. Forcing the enemies to scramble for cover or split up immediately weakens their formation and can even lead to a quick pick or two. This kind of advantage makes it a lot easier to win fights without needing to use more resources later. Plus, proactive ultimates often leave the enemy in a tough spot. They're left reacting to your moves, which means you're setting the pace. Here's an example. If you're playing Lucio, don't just save Sound Barrier for when your team is slow. Instead, try to using it as your tank engages to give everyone extra health boost right away, allowing your team to push forward aggressively. Or as Ana, use Nano Boost on a teammate who's ready to dive into the enemy backline. This puts the pressure on early and makes it difficult for the enemy to regroup or counter. With Kiriko, Kitsune Rush at the start of a fight can speed up everyone's abilities and make your team opening push much stronger, often catching the enemy off guard. So think about using your ultimate proactively instead of only waiting for emergencies. Look for a moment to initiate fights with your ultimate and seize the advantage right from the start. It's a game changer that puts you in control and keep the enemy team guessing. The last mechanic is adaptive positioning. This one is all about staying safe while still being effective by constantly adjusting your position based on what's happening in the fight. As a support, your positioning is everything, but instead of finding one good spot and stay there, adaptive positioning means consistently reassessing your position throughout the fight. The flow of battle changes quickly in Overwatch 2. And the best supports are the ones who can read the flow and keep adjusting to stay one step ahead of the enemy. So why is adaptive positioning so important? Because it keeps you alive, makes you harder to target, and ensures that you're always in a position to help your team. By repositioning whenever a key event happens, like when an ally or enemy dies, a big cooldown is used or an ultimate is triggered, you're actively making it harder for the enemy to predict your movements or focus you down. Here's how to apply it. As Ana started at a safe distance, maybe on a high ground, but once the fight starts, shifting forward, move with your team while still keeping a line of sight on them, backing up again if things turn. With Baptiste, use cover and high ground initially, but as your cooldown reset, adjust your position closer or further away to maximize healing or damage based on the enemy's position. Constantly look for safer spots or new angles to keep your team supported, while staying unpredictable to enemies. So remember, adaptive positioning isn't just about being in the right spot at the start, it's about shifting to the right spot throughout the fight. By mastering this, you'll make yourself a much harder target and keep your impact strong from start to finish.